Assalamu alaikum students. This is your lecture number 6. We are continuing with the chapter The Great Train Journey. Greetings, friend, said a voice from behind, and Sajid span round guiltily, his mouth full of apple. A dirty, bearded face was looking out at him from behind a pile of crates. The mouth was open in a wide grin. Hello, said Sajid apprehensively. Who are you? The man stepped out from behind the crates and confronted the boy. I will have one of those too, he said, pointing to the apple. Sajid gave the man an apple and stood his ground while the carriage rocked on the rails. The man took a step forward, lost his balance, and sat down on the floor. And where are you going, friend? He asked. Have you a ticket? No, said Sajid. Have you? The man pulled at his beard and mussed up the question but did not answer it. He took a bite from the apple and said, No, I don't have a ticket, but I usually reserve this compartment for myself. This is the first time I have had company. Where are you going? Are you a hippie like me? I don't know, said Sajid. Where does the train go? The scrubby, ticketless traveler looked concerned for a moment and said, Where do you want to go? I want to go everywhere, said Sajid. I want to go to England and China and Africa and Greenland. I want to go all over the world. Then you are on the right train, said the man. First, it will take you to the sea, and there you will have to get on a ship if you want to go to China. How do I get on a ship? Asked Sajid. Can you cook? He asked. Then you are on the right train, said the man. This train goes everywhere. First, it will take you to the sea, and there you will have to get on a ship if you want to go to China. How do I get on a ship? Asked Sajid. Can you cook? He asked. Yes, said Sajid untruthfully. Can you scrub a deck? Why not? Can you sail a ship? I can sail anything. Then you will get to China, said the man. Sajid finished his apple, took another from the crate, and dug his teeth into it. He took aim with the core of the old apple and tried to hit a telegraph pole, but missed it by meters. It wasn't the same as throwing a cricket ball. Then, to make the apple more interesting, he began to take big bites to see if he could devour it in 3 mouthfuls. But it took him 4 bites to finish the apple. So he started on another. Sajid had always wanted to be in a train that would take him to strange places, over hundreds and hundreds of kilometers. And here was a train doing just that, and he wasn't quite sure if it was what he really wanted. The train was coming to a station. The engine whistled, slowed down, the number of railway lines increased, crossed, spread out in different directions. Before the train could come to a stop, Sajid's companion came to the door and jumped to the ground. You'd better keep out of sight if you don't want to be caught, he warned, and waved his hand. He disappeared into the jungle across the railway tracks. The train was at siding, and Sajid could not see any signs of life, but he heard voices and the sound of carriage doors being opened and closed. He suspected that the apples wouldn't stay in the compartment much longer, so he stuffed one into each pocket and climbed onto a wooden rack in a corner. Presently, men's voices were heard in the doorway. Two laborers stepped into the compartment and began moving the crates towards the door, where they were taken over by others. Soon the compartment was empty. Sajid waited until the men had gone away before coming down from the rack. After about 5 minutes, the train started again. It shunted up and down, then gathered speed and went rushing across the plain. Sajid felt a thrill of anticipation. Where would they be going now? He wondered what his parents would do when he failed to come home that night. They would think he had run away, or been kidnapped, or been involved in an accident. They would have the police out, and there would be search parties. Sajid would be famous, the boy who disappeared. The train came out of the jungle and passed fields of sugarcane and villages of mud huts. Children shouted and waved to the train, though there was no one in it except Sajid, the guard, and the engine driver. Sajid waved back. Usually he was in a field waving. Today he was actually on the train. He was beginning to enjoy the ride. The train would take him to the sea. There would be ships with funnels and ships with sails, and there might even be one to take him across the ocean too. Some distant land. He felt a bit sorry for his mother and father. They would miss him. They would believe he had been lost forever. But one day, a fortune made he would return home, and then nobody would care any more about school reports and what he ate and why he came home late. Omer would be waiting for him at the station, and Sajid would bring him back a present, an African lion, perhaps, or a transistor radio. But he wished Omer was with him now. He wished the ragged happy was still with him, and adventure was always more fun when one had company. He had finished both apples by the time the train showed signs of reaching another station. This time it seemed to be moving into the station itself, not just a siding. It passed a lot of signals and buildings and advertisements boards before slowing to a halt beside a wide familiar platform. Sajid looked out of the door and caught sight of the board bearing the station's name. He was so astonished that he almost fell out of the compartment. He was back at his hometown. After traveling 40 or 50 miles, here he was, home again. He couldn't understand it. The train hadn't turned, of that he was certain, and it hadn't been moving backwards. He was certain of that too. He climbed out of the compartment and looked up and down the platform. Yes, the engine had changed ends. It was only the local Apple train. Sajid glowered angrily at everyone on the platform. It was as though the rest of the world had played a trick on him. He made his way to the waiting room and slipped into the street through the back door. He did not want a ticket collector asking him awkward questions. It had been a free ride, and with that he comforted himself, shrugging his shoulders. Shrugging his shoulders, Sajid sauntered down the road to the bazaar. Some day, he thought, he would take a train and really go somewhere, and he would buy a ticket. just to make sure of getting there. I am going everywhere, he said fiercely. I am going everywhere and no one can stop me. Now, students, please note down the difficult words and know their meanings. Spawn, घूमना, गिल्ली, मुजरमाना अंदाज से, bearded, दाढ़ी वाला, pile, ढेर, apprehensively, परेशानी के साथ, confronted, सामने आना, pointing, इशारा करना, rocked, लरज़ उठा, mused, सोचना, रिजर्व, महफूज करना, कंपार्टमेंट, रेलगाड़ी का डब्बा, स्क्रबी, घिसा हुआ या पुराना, अनट्रूथफुली, बग़ैर यकीन के साथ, फिनिश्ड, ख़त्म, क्रेट्स, पेटी, डग, खोदना, थ्रोइंग, फेंकना, इंटरेस्टिंग, दिलचस्प, डिवोर, खा जाना, माउथफुल्स, भरा हुआ मुंह, इंक्रीज, बढ़ जाना, विसल्ड, सीटी बजाना, स्प्रेड आउट, फैल जाना, डायरेक्शंस, सिमतें, कंपेनियन, साथी, डिसअपीयर्ड, गायब हो जाना, सस्पेक्टेड, मुश्तबा, स्टफ्ड, भरा हुआ, क्लाइम्ड, चढ़ना, वुडन रैक, लकड़ी का रैक, लकड़ी का तख्ता, लेबरर्स, मजदूर, एम्प्टी, खाली, गैदर्ड, जमा करना, शॉन्टेड, ख़त्म करना, एंटिसिपेशन, तवक्को करना, किडनैप, अगवा करना, फेमस, मशहूर, डिसअपीयर्ड, गायब हो जाना, बिगिनिंग, आगाज़, फनल्स, चिमनी, ओशन, समंदर, डिस्टेंट, दूर की बात, फॉरएवर, हमेशा, रैग्ड, फटा हुआ, पुराना, हिपी, आज़ाद ख्याल या बेघर, एडवेंचर, मुहिम, बिल्डिंग्स, इमारत, एडवर्टाइजमेंट, इश्तिहारात, एस्टोनिश्ड, हैरान होना, बैकवर्ड्स, पीछे की तरफ, क्लाइम्ड, चढ़ गया, ग्लोड, चमकदार, ऑकवर्ड, अजीब, सॉन्टर, टहलते हुए, श्रगिंग, झटकना, फियर्सली, शिद्दत से या गुस्से से, एवरीवेयर, हर जगह. Dear students, this is the end of today's lecture. Please read this chapter carefully, practice your pronunciation and know the meanings of the difficult words. Thank you. Allah Hafiz.